TotalEnergies Africa Cup of Nations. With a couple of hours to go, we've got the President of CAF to give us, of course, the roundup of what has been generally regarded as the most successful Afcon in the history of Afcon. He's joined by the two Vice Presidents of CAF and, of course, also the General Secretary, Mr. Veron Osengo-Oma. Mr. President, first of all, I know that we are starting on a sad note with our colleague in the media who has sadly departed here. Mr. President, please, the press conference is yours. Thank you.
I'll make a few brief remarks and then just before I go say, going to that, yesterday we donated $500,000. Again, it's not about the money. It's about the respect and the recognition of the important role that religion plays in the lives of all of us, all our religions. And so we made, and we did the same thing in Cameroon. So we've got a policy that whenever there's an Afcon, the Motsepe Foundation, the family foundation, makes a humble donation to the religious organizations in those countries. So we made a donation to our Christian Catholic faith as well as to our Muslim faith in Cameroon, and we did the same in Côte d'Ivoire, and it was an honor and a privilege to do the same yesterday. Of course, we're about football, and football is what we're excited about, but we also recognize that the best football in the world is in an environment where people respect each other, and economic growth and investment in infrastructure, facilities, stadiums, football pitches, schools, football, and a growing economy. We've also said that religion unites our people across different religious, ethnic, and racial backgrounds. But let's go to the football. And what is important for me is not just to come and tell you what our assessment is, but also to hear from you what your assessment is, including your criticism, because sometimes in my upbringing, the most important thing is to listen to perceived areas of weakness, perceived areas of failure. It's an important opportunity to learn, and it contributes to all of us becoming better. And our objective is very clear objective. African football must be amongst the best in the world, the most successful. It starts on the field of play. We have to win in Africa, and we have to win at the highest level in the world. So what particularly also excites me about this Afcon is its preparation for our national teams, those that will be representing us in the World Cup. So, in life, people respect you on results. They don't come and talk about your plans, your strategies, and how beautiful it is. The football in Africa is, what are the fans saying? Because the fans will not watch African football if it is not exciting and attractive. So I'm so proud of the work that every one of the 54 member associations that are members of CAF and who represent 54 countries on the African continent, we've made good progress. But we set very high standards for ourselves, very high standards. And we take motivation from the accessible, quantifiable successes, but we're very clear that there is still significant progress to be made, there's still work to be done, and we want to be as good as the best. So I was watching the match between Nigeria. In fact, I've watched, part of my plan was to watch every nation. So I'm happy that every one of the 24 nations that came for the Afcon, I had the honor and the privilege of watching every single one of them. And but it's also a learning experience for me, because to see how the referees are officiating. And again, I had a meeting with the referees before the match, before the Afcon, and I said, no guys, listen, we've got so much confidence in your quality, in your integrity, in your credibility, in your ethics, but the test is not what the president thinks, the test is not what CAF thinks, the test is what those millions of football lovers think. And we can give them the best technical explanation. It was not hand to ball, I don't know, it was foot or I don't know, or even, I don't want to say toe, knee to hand, it's a penalty. And I want to say to you what I said yesterday to all the 54 presidents of the 54 African countries. Under no circumstances will any single country in Africa be treated better, more preferential than any other country. It's never going to happen, not whilst I'm president. Every single one of the 54 countries in Africa are going to be treated with all the respect, all the dignity, and all the recognition they deserve. And that's what our commitment is, but of course we've got to listen. We will consistently improve, train, and make sure that the referees, the VAR operators, and the match commissioners are world class. This has indeed been the most successful CAF, the single most successful CAF in the history of this competition. And the question is, but President, why are you saying that? No, number one, the quality of football has been world class. And it's not so important, let me say, it's more important what some of the best coaches, the best football analysts, that the legends are saying about the quality of football. Remember, we will only succeed if our football is exciting and people want to pay to watch it. And I'm very excited. Mbappe came. I wasn't sure whether he was wearing Morocco, and I said, Mbappe, you know, because your father is from Cameroon and your mother is from Algeria. Beautiful. And then Morocco played Cameroon. It complicated things a bit. But we're excited. Zizou, beautiful. Conde, Chouameni, and various other players, so proud. And to come and support the best players in Africa that we have competing against the best in the world. So the quality of football, world class. The quality of the stadiums, the infrastructure, the facilities, world class. And of course, my duty is to rotate. I want every one of the zones, the regions, there are 5 zones. I want every one of them to get an opportunity to host the top competitions in Africa. But what is non-negotiable is your football pitch must be world class. The infrastructure must, and will help you. I mean, I took away. The CHAN was supposed to take place in February in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda. I said, let's wait, and we'll move it to August because we want to give them an opportunity to spend more money, but also with the next Afcon in mind next year. So I'm very proud of what they've done. So the facilities, and that's why it's appropriate on behalf of the 54 nations whose member associations are members of CAF to really express our deep gratitude to His Majesty King Mohammed VI, may God assist him, express our gratitude to the government, the people of Morocco, and of course I always feel proud of the work that my brother Fauzi is doing. I saw the flag of Morocco next side by side with the flag of Algeria. For me, it makes me proud. I'm happy of that because we want all our people to be together. We want all Africans to be together. I saw the president of football in the DRC and the president of football from Rwanda together having a wonderful time. Beautiful. That's what we're all about, to bring all our people together. And where there are challenges, we will humbly use football to unite. And this unity, of course, is unity in the continent, but it's also a commitment to unity with Europe, with America, with Asia, with South America. And let me just finally, because there's, let's talk about the Afcon every 4 years. Now let me explain to you. I'm clear in my mind. I have to be in a much better situation in this new dispensation than I was in the previous dispensation. And the numbers and the figures don't lie. And the facts don't lie. Because I can have my own interpretation and say it's wonderful, it's good, but if the facts and the numbers and the data doesn't support it, then it's incorrect. So what's going to happen? We only had one competition that really made money. I want the competition every year, every year, every year. At this stage, with the exception of the year when there's a World Cup, and we're also looking at that to even have a competition in that year. Now, the Afcon is about, it used to be 20 nations and we increased it to 24. Every year, I'm going to have 54 nations in Africa, not 24, like in the Afcon, 54. 54. And unlike what happened in the past, I'm going to have the best African players who play in Europe. We are proud of them. The best African players who play in America, proud of them. In Asia, in South America, they're going to be part of this competition every year in Africa. Now, how much do I pay for the Afcon? I think when I became president, the first prize was maybe 4 million or something, 4 million, and I immediately increased it to 5. I don't know where the 5 was going to come because we owed $150 million at the time. And then increased it again to 7 for Cote d'Ivoire, and increased it again to 10. And I'm excited because I know some of those players, not the ones who play in Europe, the ones in Africa, if they get significant money, some of that money goes into their pockets, and that's what they want. So part of my objective is to make sure that in every sense, the African Nation League competes with Afcon. I don't want one fishing rod to try and catch fish in the sea. I want, the Afcon fishing rod was once every 2 years. I'm going to have a fishing rod every year. And part of what we want to do is, you've got to make the Africa Nations League at the minimum as exciting, and better still, even more exciting than the Afcon. And the judge of that is not the president of CAF, it's not CAF, it's the fans. It's you in the media. And we have to listen to you. Whether we agree or disagree is irrelevant. And sometimes what's even more important is when you criticize us. It's a learning opportunity. So we currently pay 10 million, and I shouldn't say this, so if you agree, if you promise not to write about it and keep it to yourself, I'll say it quickly. My aim is to get 10 million first prize for the Africa Nations League. Where am I going to get the money from? I'll find it. So if I've got 10 million there, then make sure that the African Nation League competes in every sense with the Afcon. But of course, Afcon, there's a sentimental. It's like this grandmother who brought you up when your mother was working. She's got a special place in your heart, and always will have a special place in your heart. But you can't tell a grandma going to work in a Toyota. I love Toyotas. When you can take her to work in a BMW or a Mercedes-Benz. I mean, whatever nice car. We have to improve all the time, become better, more competitive. And we have to listen to our sponsors. And of course, we've got to listen to our fans. And we also have to listen to the media. So I'm excited. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done. Part of my job is when I'm not president of CAF, because every leader, there's a time to go and there's a time to leave. So part of my job is the president who takes over from me must find a foundation and the leadership where they can continue the good work that we've done together. No organization succeeds because of an individual or because of a president. It doesn't exist. So I just want to conclude by saying that I want to thank the media, and we will see you next year in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and let me say this. We have a duty. My duty is to Africa. It starts there. But my second duty is I can only promote Africa if in those areas where we have to work together with the world, with Europe, with America, with Asia, with South America, in those areas we have to work together. The success of football in Europe is good. I want Europe, I want America, I want Asia, I want that football in those countries to keep growing and keep succeeding. And I'm clear that in Africa, we are going to keep growing and keep succeeding. So I just want to in conclusion say once more, use gratitude to the people of Morocco. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup to the people of Morocco. This is the spirit of Africa. Bring us all together. They took me to a university here in Morocco. 48 African countries have got students at that university. Beautiful, beautiful. 88 countries from outside, worldwide. So there's another 40 countries that have got students. We are part of a world where we have to work together. Our growth is the growth of all of us together. And maybe it's something else which might come back later. But, and of course I want to thank the government, and as I said, thank His Majesty King Mohammed VI, may God assist him. Thank the government and thank our brother Fauzi. There's one other point that they reminded me about. It just slipped my mind. Hopefully it will come back when we take all the questions. Okay. So just one final thing. I hope we've tried to look well after the media. We're not doing you a favor when we treat you with respect and with the dignity you deserve. It's our duty. And I want to thank you for, there's 190 countries, 190. The official number is 180, but we are told that there's 10 others where they've got access in ways that they only know how, that have been watching African football. We're enormously grateful, and we're grateful for you because you've carried some of that, and it's to a large extent because of you. And thank you for being with us, and if there are ways that we can make your stay with us better, please let us know. It has taken us 4 years to be where we are, and we took a unanimous decision in CAF, 100%. Let me start with the Super League. The Super League is something that we started a pilot with, the club football, and it went very well. We had proposals which were part of the plan. These numbers you were talking about, the 200 million was part of revenue. And why we didn't proceed as quickly as we did is because the partners that were giving us money, they were not giving us the sort of deals that we thought we would be happy with. So, and that's why we then took the 1 billion. Okay, now you talk about 200 million, I'm talking about $1 billion for the national teams. And we took the focus there because we knew that that would put pressure on the clubs. But let me tell you something else that's more important. We have significantly increased the African Champions League, the club football, and made that significantly better. We've increased the Confederation's Cup prize money competition. We spent $13 million, which has never happened, gave money to each one of those clubs. And so we are satisfied. So it's not the president of CAF, it is the 54 nations in Africa who know football, I would say with all humility, much better than those who are not in the day-to-day involvement in the challenges about the infrastructure, the stadiums, and the money and that we need to pay for the players. So we are absolutely satisfied. Where you are wrong, absolutely wrong. And your facts are incorrect. No, just keep quiet now. Keep quiet. Keep quiet. I asked you a question and I kept quiet, so don't interrupt me. So what I'm saying to you is, where you are absolutely wrong is the revenue of the Afcon is significantly less than the revenue that we have implemented for the African Nations League, and we will be launching it in the next 3 years. So we are absolutely convinced that we are not going to adhere to a competition simply because it has been there for the past few years. And where you are also talking absolute nonsense is to say to me that we will run Africa for Europe. Absolute rubbish. It's nonsense. They're insulting us. We run Africa for Africa. And our job is to listen to people like yourself and various others. And whether you're objective or not is irrelevant. But when you've got 54 nations in Africa saying that the African Nations League is world class, it doesn't matter how you look at African football. We have to take decisions that, from a populist perspective, may be regarded as being unpopular, but from a beneficial perspective, what does this mean for African football? Every single one of our 54 presidents say this is the best thing that has happened. And I'm confident over the years, the results of what we're doing will speak for themselves. We go to Europe, we make recommendations, they say we listen, we disagree, they make recommendations to us, and we say we listen to what you say, we disagree. At the end of the day, we have a duty to you, and we have a duty to the ordinary African football supporter and lover. We can think we're doing all the right things, but it's more important that ordinary football people on the continent are convinced that we're doing the right things. And the decisions we have taken many years. Let me give you a bad example. My sole responsibility, primary responsibility, is African football. Now, you've got an agreement between CAF and FIFA, which is not CAF, the whole world. In the year of the World Cup, that period, June, July, you can't have a competition. So what happens then? Because this year, June, July, has been put aside 20, 30, 40 years for the World Cup. So we have to have a competition, this current Afcon. It has to take place this year at all costs. The only time you have is December, January. Now comes a problem. The European clubs say, we are not going to release our players because we spent billions of dollars of these players, we're not going to release them. And we say, we don't care what you say, you're going to release them. So, but we need allies. We then need to go and engage with other confederations, because I think they've got the family owns a football club. So their concerns, I understand them. But my duty, my number one duty is Africa. So I just want to conclude that for us, it's not Afcon every 4 years. The way it's been structured, it's Afcon every year. No. It's Afcon every year. You can say no until tomorrow, doesn't change it. It's Afcon every year. We have, in this current competition, Morocco, we've got about 28 days that has been allocated. The African Nations League, the window period is going to be 22 for that period. And the difference is, we are convinced, contrary to what you think, to have Nigeria play Ghana in either Accra or Lagos, it's good, because it builds the local rivalries. To have Cameroon playing Côte d'Ivoire there, rather than playing them in Morocco. Look, when you've got Cameroon playing Côte d'Ivoire here, you don't have the same attendance of supporters. When you've got them playing at home, the stadiums are full. The sponsors are keen. It doesn't only help the national team, it helps the club football. So I agree with you, as I said to you, money is important, but nothing in life is only about money. It's about the quality of football. It's about what you said, the cultural significance. And we are absolutely satisfied. I'm convinced that we've looked at this over the last 3 years. We are convinced, and you will take time over time to realize that what we have done is definitely in the interest of African football. I have a duty to develop football all over Africa. I can't have competitions only in those 4 countries where you've got the infrastructure. You've got to create opportunities for the other countries to build infrastructure at the level, World Cup level that we want them, and develop football in those countries as well. I'm confident that the Afcon in Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda will be enormously successful. Will there be challenges? It's like the World Cup Qatar. We are going now to Canada, America, and Mexico. There are going to be challenges. But and that's why I was insisting that the CHAN takes place in those countries, even though they were not ready in February, because I was convinced that it would help us enormously to make sure that we've got a successful Afcon next year in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda. But we are not going to take that competition away from those countries, because I'm confident it's going to be successful. We're talking with the leadership from Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda earlier on, and I will personally be visiting those countries. I think we're sending a team from CAF, because now, as of tomorrow, the focus is almost exclusively, if not primarily, on. So the focus is on those countries, and we will do the heavy lifting. I mean, we are not going to take easy decisions just because it's convenient. Sometimes we have to do the difficult, unpopular, and to have it in those 3 countries represents challenges, but in terms of our long-term investment in the growth of football in East Africa, the benefits are enormous. So there's a team going from CAF tomorrow, on Monday, and tomorrow we'll be handing over the flag to Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and as I said, I'll be visiting those countries myself. I think sometime in April, to make sure that there's an emergency focus. You've got to be careful. If in Africa there are problems and failures, we sometimes magnify those problems and failures. If the same problems or failures happen in other parts of the world, it's not as magnified as we do. So we've got to be more optimistic and more positive.